Hello, today we're going to be talking about solving compound inequalities. So compound inequalities get their name because, as you might remember, compound means more than one. Like a compound word is made up of at least two different words. Compound inequality has more than one inequality in it. Sometimes they're written as one big string, like this has two greater than signs in it. Sometimes they are written as two separate inequalities with a word in between them. Solving them is pretty similar. When we solved inequalities before, we made a graph. Our graph always looks like a number line. That marker is not working very well, so we're going to put it away. Anyway, we always made a number line, and we would have a circle, either open or closed somewhere, and then some shading, either to the left or to the right. With all of these ones, we're going to end up having two circles because we're dealing with two inequalities, and then shading, we'll see that when we run into it, but it's going to look a little different. So we're going to solve these. We're going to make our graphs and our number line with the circles and the shading like we did before. Right here, I have a friendly reminder of which type of circle you use when, in case you forget. So, sometimes your inequalities are written as one big long string like this. The goal, like usual, is to get x or k or whatever it is by itself. So we need to undo that by doing, undo whatever was happening to our variable. So 10 minus 7k is the same as negative 7k plus 10. We need to undo that addition of 10 first, so I need to subtract 10. But instead of thinking everything I do to one side of the equation, I do the other. I have three pieces here. Anything I do to one piece of the inequality, I have to do to all of the pieces. So I have subtracted 10 from the middle. I also need to subtract 10 from the right-hand side and the left-hand side. Over here, 10 minus 10 is 0. Greater than sign stays the same. These cancel, that's what we wanted. I still have negative 7k. Negative 32 minus 10 is negative 42. We're almost done. Since I want to get k completely by itself, I need to undo that negative 7 times k, but dividing by negative 7. Once again, anything I do to one piece of the inequality, I need to do everywhere. And so, final answer, 0 divided by negative 7 is 0. I divided by a negative, so just like before, my inequality sign is going to flip and turn the other way. So now it becomes a less than. I get just k in the middle, which is what I want. This inequality sign also flips because I divided by a negative. And then negative 42 divided by negative 7 is positive 6. So this is our answer. You can read this a couple of different ways. You can say 0 is less than k, which is less than 6. Or you can think of this as being k is between 0 and 6, but not including 0 and 6 because we don't have the equal to's. Let's make our number line graph. So since we have two numbers here, I need to make sure our number line has both numbers. So I'm going to be really lazy and just do the two numbers we care about. Make sure they're in order. 0 would be before 6. And then let's talk about our circles. These are both regular less thans. Regular less thans get open circles on them. And then our shading. It's kind of, usually we look at things like this. Okay, I would be shading to the left of 6. This is kind of written backwards. 0 is less than k is the same as k is greater than 0, which means I would shade to the right of 0. Or the other way you can think of that is I have k literally in between 0 and 6, so my shading is going to be between 0 and 6. So my final answer number line graph, you can think of it as being in between, or you can think less than 6, more than 0. They're both the same idea. That is what I'm looking for graph-wise. Let's try another one. So all of the rest of these are written as two different pieces. Solve this individually, then make your number line graph from there. Start with undoing addition. So to undo plus 3, I subtract 3. Negative 3 minus 3 is negative 6. And then from here, I need to get r by itself. I'm going to divide. Negative 6 divided by 6 is 1. I divided by a negative, so my inequality flips around. Negative 6 divided by 6 is positive 1. So one part of my solution is r is less than or equal to 1. And I got to do the other one. Undo plus 10 by subtracting 10 from both sides. And then last but not least, we need to divide. This time I'm dividing by a positive number, so my inequality sign does not flip around. Negative 40 divided by 5 is negative 8. Let's make our number line graph. So my two numbers are 1 and negative 8. Negative 8 would be off to the left somewhere, 0 would be somewhere, and then 1 would be closer to 0. It's not very to scale, but you get the idea. What is my graph going to look like? So I like to start with the circles. This has an equal to, so it's going to be a closed circle on positive 1. This has an equal to, so it's going to be a closed circle on negative 8. Less than negative 1 means I'm going to shade to the left. Less than 1 means I'm shading to the left of 1. Greater than 8, negative 8 means I'm shading to the right of 8. So once again, our shading is going to end up in between. I'm looking for all of the values that are in between negative 8 and positive 1. I just realized I wrote two different variables because I couldn't read my own handwriting. They should both be the same variable. I'm going to call them both R. Sorry if that was confusing for you. So our R value is less than 1, but bigger than negative 8. Everything that meets that is in that middle portion. Negative 8 and 1 are included because of the equal to's. All right. This time it's the same idea. We have a word in between. The word is or. We'll talk more about that when we get it completely finished. Start by solving. Undo plus 2 by subtracting 2. 38 minus 2 is 36. And then to undo multiplying by 9, we divide by 9. We get x greater than 4. Or, because we have the word or between, we get whatever happens with the other one. All I need to do here to get x by itself is to add 1 to both sides. I get x less than or equal to negative 7. No need to divide because there's not a number in front of x that's not 1. Let's make our graph. So negative 7 would be on this side because 7 is a negative number. 0 is somewhere in the middle. 4 is a positive number, so it should be on this side. What kind of circle goes on 4? An open circle goes on 4 because it's a regular greater than. What kind of circle goes on negative 7? It's a less than or equal to, so it's going to be a closed circle. Which way would I be shading here? Greater than 4 means I'm shading to the right, so I would go to the right of 4. Less than or equal to negative 7 is to the left of that number. So I'm going to go to the left of negative 7. So my final answer graph, the shading's not in the middle of the two circles, it's going in opposite directions. I'm looking for values of x that are either smaller or the same as negative 7, or values of x that are bigger than 4, and that's exactly what this graph shows. All right, one more. We do have the word or in between them, just so we know. Start by undoing plus 5 by subtracting 5. Negative 27 minus 5 is negative 32. Divide both sides by positive 4. This stays the same because I divided by a positive number. Negative 32 divided by 4 is negative 8. Or, what's our other solution? Let's find out. Undo minus 9 by adding 9. Negative 10 plus 9 is negative 1. You might think you're done. You got one more step. We don't want negative x, we want regular x. Remember, negative x is the same as negative 1x. We need to divide by negative 1 to undo that negative 1 in front. So I get x. I'm dividing by a negative, so my inequality flips around and becomes greater than. Negative 1 divided by negative 1 is positive 1. Negative 8 is a negative number. It needs to be on this side. Positive 1 is a positive number. 0 would be in between, sort of like that. I think it's helpful to know where 0 is. Let's talk about circles. We have a less than or equal to, so a closed circle on negative 8. We have a regular greater than on 1, so open circle. Less than or equal to negative 8 means I'm shading to the left. Greater than 1 means I'm shading to the right. The values of x I'm looking for are either the same or smaller than negative 8, or they're bigger than positive 1. That is it for solving compound inequalities. I hope you have a wonderful day.